There we go.
Wade and Ryan here, another NFL in London podcast, week 7. The first game, or the third game, final game in London. It's the best one, Rams and Jaguars. We're going to do all the week 6 or week 7 predictions, but let's first talk about that. TNF, Steelers, Bengals. This was an old-fashioned slug-out, shootout, punch-out, a hell of a game. It was exciting to watch these two veterans slug it out. I stayed up for it, as well as watching the Jays win that night, so it was a hell of a night of sports. What did you think of this game when you saw it?
Well, I just kind of watched the condensed game, but to me, it's just classic division game, right? Because these games are always going to be tough, and it was basically like the old Fresh Prince episode where they're just like, just give it to Will, and it was just like, whatever
Yeah.
you do, just throw it to Jamar Chase. He's gonna catch
Yeah.
it. He's the best receiver in the game, and he shows it every week. And it was just like, even Flacco was saying, he's like, I didn't even know what some of the plays were. I was just like, yeah, I'm just gonna chuck it to you. Old playground football, basically, is what they played. The Bengals just kind of look inspired, and even you had the great. I don't know if you saw the Aaron Rodgers getting tackled by his own teammate.
Yeah. What is this?
Which was an all-time moment. I was on a loop in my house for like a whole day almost. It was hilarious. Listen, he looked good, but his defense to me was the story where you thought they were kind of having a little bit of a comeback the last couple games, and they just got torched from a guy who's only been there a week and a half. And I love how Mike Tomlin was pissed that he had to go up against Flacco, and now he's even more pissed. I think that's why this all kind of went the way it went. But I wasn't surprised. I told you I did pick the Bengals to win this game. I just thought it just felt like one of those games where Flacco was just going to do Flacco things. But I mean, if he could just hold them above water till December, the AFC is such a mess that I don't see there any reason why like they can't sneak in, get the 7th seed, and kind of still be in this. So it looked like it was a season-saving game for the Bengals. So great win. I thought it was great.
Yeah, I mean, it should have been. I always thought that they should be trading Jamar Chase each play. Like he goes just to the Steelers and goes back because, it was like you could see Flacco just having a new toy going, oh my God, this is such a great toy to play with because he's so fast and he just catches everything. And it was fantastic right down to the wire. I mean, and even props to Aaron Rodgers going, hey, look, tough loss, but we're still leading the division. We're still 4-2. So we can learn from this, and I think they can. There's a lot of things they can tighten up on, but very inspired play. It was impressive that the Bengals actually used Chase Brown because they were not running the ball. They were not known as a running game, and they were able to mix this up a bit. So it was nice to see him getting involved, more of a balanced attack, which also helped the defense as well. And without even Hendrickson, I think they still played well. So
it was a fun game.
Good
rally.
It was
a fun game.
And fun to see. And those are the NFL games you like to see. One of the London games we like to see. Let's get into our first and our final London game as the LA Rams are 4-2. They're 3-point favorites over a Jacksonville team who's also 4-2. The over-under in this one is 45. It's like nobody watches London games, and 45 to me is just way too many points in this one. But the Rams are flying high. The Jaguars have a few injuries going into this one, but they've got a sack machine on their team as well. Rams, what are the keys for them to win, or can Jacksonville, keep their record solid at home and get another London?
I mean, I think it depends on Puka Nacua. If he plays, this kind of changes it.
I think he's not playing.
He's not playing, so he is out. He's out completely. No. Yeah, I heard last time I heard he might be playing, which again is devastating for anyone who was buying tickets. Is like, I just want to watch Puka Nacua.
Well, now you can watch Tutu Atwell.
I mean, you kind of feel like if anyone has the advantage, it's the Jaguars because they've done this game, they've done the routine, they've been to London so many times. But then when you watch them last week, 12 points against Seattle, and to me, it just doesn't feel like. I don't think that Trevor Lawrence can outgun Matthew Stafford, even Matthew Stafford without Puka Nacua. I think that he can move it around. Rams have played here. I think they played here a couple of years ago. But I think it might have been a while. Like it hasn't been a while. I just think they're just used to all the travel and the time stuff that it's not going to mess them up. I think use Kyron Williams, use your running game. They still have Devontae Adams. They still have Matt Stafford who's playing some of the best football. I'm just not a believer in Trevor Lawrence. I've said it every week, and I'm still waiting for that game that changes my mind. Even when he wins, those games don't change my mind. I want to see more from Travis Hunter. I want to see more from Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Etienne. But until I see him have those big wins, they beat the Chiefs a couple weeks and then they stunk. the next week. It's that consistency. It's that you can beat
Yeah.
the Chiefs and be one of the best, the best team in football, and then next week stink. So until I see
Yeah.
it consistently, I'm gonna go with the Rams. I think they're just the better team. I'm gonna go 23-20. Just I agree. I don't think it's going to be a very high scoring game just because I don't. Without Puka Nakua, I think the Rams are going to struggle against a pretty decent Jags team.
Yeah, I mean, I think the front of the Jags D has always been pretty impressive, and it comes down to the secondary then. So, obviously it was going to be who's going to cover Puka, but then, you've got Devontae Adams, you've got Tutu Atwell, um, and so I think that they're going to be able to open this game up a bit. The Rams I think, are only coming on Saturday to London. They've just been moving themselves to the East Coast, get
We're
themselves
coming in the
prepared
morning.
for
We're
it.
coming in the morning this Sunday.
Yeah, might as well. We've been playing in Iceland, getting ready for
Yeah.
it. I like the Rams in this one, just like these London games, and I know Wembley is a different beast to Tottenham. You get a lot of noise there. I've got the Rams to win this one, 21-14. Low scoring game, 35 points. I don't see them hitting the over in this one. They'll all get done and go home. It'd be an exciting game. There'd be lots of jerseys there. Wembley always puts on a good show, so it'll be nice to see, and it's nice to sort of sign off the final London game with a good game for everyone.
With a good game
although
for
I think
once, would be nice.
with a good game for a little change.
Wouldn't that be
but
nice? Wouldn't that be nice?
I don't see it being that very high scoring. Let's head into our next game. Is a battle of the AFC West as the 2-4 Las Vegas Raiders are visiting the 3-3 Kansas City Chiefs. The line was 11.5. It's jumped up to 12. Rice is going to be back, and it looks like Patrick Mahomes is going to have a few more of his tools ready to go. KC, when we've looked at them now, the over and under in this one is 45.5. They're firing. This is a team that's like, okay, it was a slow burn, but now the fire's going, and look out, everyone. It looks like a lot of injuries across the board for the Raiders as well. Brock Bowers will still be out in this one. It's going to be a real tough game, I think, going for Geno Smith in terms of this. Do the Raiders have any chance, or is this going to be an easy divisional blowout for the Chiefs?
It's tough, right? Because we've seen in the past couple of years, we saw the Raiders beat the Chiefs on Christmas Day a couple of years ago, and no one thought that was going to happen. The Raiders, I think it was last year, lost a game because Hutchinson or whatever the McDonald, Aiden O'Connell wasn't paying attention and took the shotgun off the chest and fumbled in the last minute when they were in field goal range. So it's like the Raiders have actually kept this close. I think the fact that the Chiefs don't have their left tackle, he left last week. They're not sure if he's going to be there this week, which makes it's going to be that Max Crosby is going to be able to do some damage. You can kind of move the ball in the Chiefs. Like, I don't think their defense has been as strong, but the Raiders have just been too inconsistent. The fact that Rashee Rice comes in, I think the Chiefs are going to put on a show for the home fans, and kind of like Mahomes right now is playing like the MVP of the league. I think he wants to just shut everyone up about who's been talking about Josh Allen and Lamar, and he's not even in the conversation anymore. So I think he's just going to want to put on a show. And I just haven't seen anything from the Raiders, especially from the receiver position. And if I'm getting Bowers to play, like, is he 100%? What percent is he? They're just going to basically shut down Genty and make Geno beat you. And the fact that it's on the road, it's going to be tough. I just don't see any way the Raiders are competitive in this game. I'm going to go 31-17 for the Chiefs.
Yeah, and you're talking about, they're even saying Jacoby Myers might be out as well, which, what kind of tools do you have? You got Brock out, you've got all these guys out, and Geno doesn't have the best offensive line to begin with. I mean, aside from the Dolphins, who I think have the worst offensive line, I would say these guys are probably second. It's going to be a lot of pressure coming on. The Chiefs are going to be fired up, you should say, hometown crowd. It's pumpkin spice season, and it's going to get spicy, I think, for them. And Max Crosby will be the only thing is just trying to slow him down. So I'm with you on this one. I've got it 30-13. I think the Chiefs just romp and stomp and have a good time. An old-fashioned pumpkin bashing is what it's going to be. I can't see any way in which Raiders can get anything going. We move into the aforementioned Miami Dolphins, who are 1-5, and like an upset stomach, things are going to start coming out, you think, soon. I mean, you got Tua throwing his players under the bus already. They're heading into an equally abysmal team in a Cleveland team who are 1-5. Cleveland, though, 1.5 point or 2.5 point favorites at home. Over under in this one is 39.5. I mean, when you start breaking it down, they're all sort of horrible. But then when it comes down to the difference is the Browns have a good defense, and they've got Quinshon Judkins, who's been running the ball quite well, and Miami's susceptible against the run. David Achane has, he's good, but that Miami front offensive line is so weak. He's just going to get pummeled behind the line, and Miami's let up some big runs to some big players.
Yeah.
Cleveland at home. Do they have? Is this an easy win for Cleveland, or do you think
I mean,
Tua's going to put up a spirited fight?
easy win for Cleveland is not a sentence that should ever be uttered because when Dylan Gabriel is your quarterback, there's never going to be an easy win in this league. I am going to pick the Browns to win. I just think that defense is going to make it really hard on Tua. They're going to be able to get pressure. Tua cannot escape any pressure. So Myles Garrett, who I think everyone's kind of waiting for that big breakout game, he's been pretty consistent, pretty solid. I think they're waiting for him to kind of, take over after all the talk. And he's looking pretty down in the offseason, watching his team be not very competitive. And I think, again, this is a big game for Dylan Gabriel because if he's terrible again, the calls for Shadur Sanders are just going to get louder and louder and louder.
Yeah.
And I don't see how you can't if he keeps playing the way he is. Like you got to be able to move the ball down the field somehow. The fact that Judkins, at least against this Dolphins defense, should be able to. We've seen teams pretty much do what they want on the ground against the Dolphins. So to me, if this is going to be one of those kind of ugly, low-scoring games, I think the Dolphins, they got Jalen Waddle and Darren Waller, but to me, I just think this is a team that's kind of given up. The fact that, like you said, the quarterback and the rest of the team aren't even on the same page and they're kind of going against each other. So I'm going to go with the Browns to win 21-17. I just think it's going to be a terrible game. I don't want to watch it.
Yeah, when they were even saying the weather too is potentially going to be severe thunderstorms. So I think that's going to impact it as well. I could see Waller, if I were to pick any points, would be an anytime touchdown because he seems to continue to score. And maybe it's time for Miami to get rid of him because get him. Someone would love a Darren Waller on their team. So yeah, I'm with you on this one. I've got it 20-16. I think the Browns, are going to be able to win this one. I think Judkins will have at least 100 yards in this one. I've got him in one of my fantasies, so I'll be rooting for him as well. But again, this is one of those games that you'll maybe, Scott Hansen will go, oh yeah, and by the way, we're over to Cleveland on this one. Moving on to the next game. It's another equally horrible team. It's the Tennessee Titans, who are 1-5, and they are hosting Mike Vrabel. Bum, bum, bum. The return of Vrabel. New England is 4-2, and they're 7-point favorites in this game. 42 points is the over/under. Vrabel had said that this is not an anger, this is not a rematch, this is not a justice game, but it is. Everyone knows it is. He's coming back. The Titans are preparing for it. And, Drake May is looking good. This Patriots team, they're number one in the AFC East right now. So are they not just want to put the boot on the throat of the Titans here? And what do you think the Titans can do to get anything going in it?
He's totally, yeah, of course, he's going to say it. First of all, he's a Patriot. He's from the Belichick days, and Belichick was the pettiest, run up the score guy of them all. Like he did it more than anybody, and it was just like that big, like, fuck you, stop me. And I think that's what he's going to want. I feel like it feels like it's one of those bets, right, where everyone in the world is going to bet the Patriots to cover, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that there is the new coach thing, the new coach bump, which does come into effect sometimes, that is a definite thing. So what's the spread again? What did you say?
7 points in favor of New England.
7 points. I'm going to go on. I'm going to say this is going to be closer. I think just because of all these stories, I don't think the Titans can win this game. Absolutely not. And they're probably going to get smoked. But it feels like one of those Joes versus pros where people are being like, you know what? Everyone's betting this. Go fade the public.
Yeah.
The old fade the public.
Sure,
I think the Titans, again, Cam Ward has looked better compared to the last couple games before. Fortunately, maybe Brian Callahan was that bad of a coach and they actually just get a bit of life in them. They're able to kind of move the ball.
Yeah.
We're going against a good Patriots D. It's going to be hard for them. I don't know why I'm betting this, but I'm going to say it and I'm going to do it. I'm going to go 27-23 for the Pats. Is my bet.
23 points. Yeah, I mean, I can see it. I can see what you're saying about a new coach, and sometimes the players want to play up to their potential and show, yeah, it was dumpster fire. It's not us. I don't see in any way they can. I think if Calvin Ridley is also supposed to be out, Pollard, I don't know his status, but I don't think he's going to get much luck against this front of New England. I've got it What have I got here? 28-10. I don't see them getting many points. I see
It'll
New England. I
probably
see
be like 50, to be honest with you. Like, I'm
it
going to
could
be
be. It
laughing
could be one
probably
of
at
these
halftime.
anger where everyone's like,
Yeah.
"Stop, make it stop. He's
He's
already
already
dead."
dead. He's already dead.
That's the kind of game I want in our next game as we
It
head
would
into
be funny. It would
Chicago,
be
where
funny.
it's gonna be warm, windy, and wet in North America right now in this time zone, in the Eastern time zone. It's around 23 degrees Celsius today. It's supposed to be warm tomorrow with some rain coming in. New Orleans is 1-5. They're at home to Chicago, who are 3-2. The Bears are 5-point favorites in this one. 47 points is the over/under. These two have had some history in the past. But, will Rattler be able to do anything? The Bears got the some would say a lucky win. I would say plucky win last week against Washington. 47 points is the over/under in this one. Caleb at home starting to settle in with Ben Johnson. Swift had a great game last week. DJ Moore, they're saying, is going to play. Dunze's back. So Chicago is getting most of the pieces together. But we all know that how desperate Rattler and those Saints can play. They keep themselves close in a lot of games. How do you see this one going with my Bears?
You know what? I think this is going to be a very close game. I even would put it close to like upset alert, and I could see the Saints pulling off a little sneaky upset in this game. I don't know why. I think Rattler's been a lot better than people give him credit for. I think, he's able to get a lot of it going. I think Kamara's been a bit disappointing. He looks kind of old. He hasn't been able to kind of
Yeah.
break anything, it feels, this year. It's consistently, 30 yards, 40 yards games. And to me, Rattler, the last, I think, 3 games, it's 6 touchdowns, 1 interception. He runs well. He got a lot of first downs when he played the Bills. And I just think the Bears, again, they're just one of those teams that lets teams stick around. They don't
Yeah.
they don't just keep burying them. Like even with that game against Washington, they took an early. It just was constantly. It was just never always letting them inch back in, and inch back. And then you're like, oh shit, we're losing. We need to now go down the field. So I think it might be one of those games. I'm gonna pick the Bears to win, but I think it's gonna come down to probably the last kick of the game again. One of those ones. I'm gonna go 24-21 Bears. Because I just think, again, the Bears haven't shown that they can just, consistently just go down the field all the time. I think Caleb still gets prone to holding on and running loose and giving the other team chances to kind of come back. So, and I think the Saints are a weirdly plucky team who's been in almost every single game this season, and it's kind of unlucky to be 1-5. They could be, I don't know, 2-4, maybe 3-3, but they maybe. But I think this is one I almost pick Saints, but I'm gonna go Bears to win.
Yeah, I can see that one, and there's a couple of reasons. Obviously, the Bears were weak against the run, and so we've been gashed. Genty literally just cut through holes through the defense. The one other thing that goes in our favor, I think, obviously, is that we've scored 21 points at least every game. And so this one, I think this is a perfect thing that for Caleb to light it up. I can see us going over 30 points. I can see the Bears scoring a ton of points. Unfortunately, that's going to mean that also, the Saints might score a bunch of points on us. I think I see what you're talking about, that it's going to be a back and forth game, but I think the fourth quarter is going to be the big difference where the Bears open it up a bit. I've got it 28-20, but again, I wouldn't be surprised if we go over 30 points. I think Caleb could have 4 touchdowns tomorrow easily. I think it's going to be one of those big scoring games. If the weather stays nice, I could see that happening. So I'm going to go Bears 20-20.
He is my fantasy quarterback, so I'm always happy when Caleb
He's your
plays
fantasy,
well.
so yeah,
he's been really
my
good.
reality.
He's been really good at my fantasy team. So I've been very happy with him. Been very happy with him.
Let's move into the next big game, and this one, a lot of implications in this one because we've got Philadelphia, who've lost 2 in a row. They're 4-2. They're 2-point favorites heading into Minnesota, 3-2. 44 points is the over/under. We're in a dome in this one. But the big thing is J.J. McCarthy could be back. Are they going to play him? Are they going to let Wentz go? And how angry are these Eagles? Because they look like a bit of the Dolphins in a way that they've just been yelling at each other in the locker room. There's been an inconsistency going on with, Jalen being able to spread the ball around. And also, what's happened to Saquon? Is he going to get running? Is something going to happen? He's going to be demonstrative again. Philadelphia, 2-point favorites. Is this the game that the Eagles get right, or can Minnesota, put a monkey wrench into their works and try to screw things up for them?
It's kind of a fun game, a little Wentz revenge game against the Eagles. Because again, go Wentz. I think that's kind of fun. I just don't know with the Eagles, right? Like, I don't know if this is we're watching like the implosion of a couple years ago where they started out like 12-0 and then we just every game just got worse and worse and then the Bucks just smoked them in the playoffs. So I don't know if it's that or because again, there's this disconnect. Saquon's not running well. AJ Brown
Yeah,
and Devonta Smith are pissed off every single game. The only guy who's happy is Dallas Goedert because he gets the ball like 20, he gets like 10
yeah,
targets, 12 targets a game, it feels like. I feel like, this, I just think with Wentz, it's just, I'm going to go with the team with the better, who needs to win. Eagles are coming off some bad losses, some
yeah.
really kind of really big questions. And I think as Super Bowl champions, these are the games you got to kind of right the ship. And I think, again, if I'm going to trust Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown and Devontae Smith to beat Wentz any day of the week. So now I'm gonna, especially, I think defenses are kind of a wash, and I think they can kind of keep it. But I think it's gonna be a close game. I think it's gonna be low scoring. So I'm gonna go 21-18 for Eagles.
Yeah, I've got it 26-18. I think Saquon really has to step up in this game. They've really got to utilize him in better ways so they can build up a bit of a league, but also just to get him running, just to be able to stomp it and run down this Minnesota defense because, Flores is going to throw all different kind of tricks at you. He's going to have all different kind of shaky moves to try to confuse Jalen Hurts, and you can shut him up by just running Saquon down the middle. And then you're just going to have to stop that funnel. So I really like Philadelphia here, 26-18. I can see Saquon getting back onto it. Let's head into our final game of the 1 o'clock slate. And we said the other games were stinkers, but this one's also a stinker. Carolina are 1.5 point favorites. They're 3-3. Heading into the New York Jets, who are 0-6, 41.5 is the over/under. Rico Dowdle has been playing well, but Chuba Hubbard is back. Carolina, though, has tons of injuries, loads of injuries right now, and they are a hobbled team. The Jets are just hobbled by the fact that Glenn looks like he is aging like every day.
Like milk,
Just a
gold
decade.
milk.
Yeah. 41.5 is the over/under in this one. The weather should be quite crap. It's supposed to be rainy in New York, but Carolina, can Bryce Young get them above a winning to a winning record?
Now, I am going to go with the Jets to get their first win here today. I think being at home, I think, again, their defense actually was not bad. Like the fact that they held the Broncos to 13 points last game, and they should have
Yeah.
won. You had turnover. It was just a disaster, their offense. They got a turnover early in the game. They can't do anything. To me, this feels like a Justin Fields game, like where it's like, dude, you have to win this, or we're going to Tyrod Taylor the rest of the year. And we're just cutting you next year because I don't see
Yeah.
what he brings to the table. He's had some absolute terrible games, and that one in London just really in front of whoever
Mhm.
watched it in America. But I just think again that defense looks a lot better, and I think the fact that Sauce Gardner can take out Tet, and I think the fact that Chuba Herbert might even hurt them a bit, that return where they're
Yeah.
going to share carries now, and you're not going to just ride the Rico Dowdle hot hand, 200 yards a game. But so I think the Jets kind of need this. I think big Garrett Wilson's got to kind of do something, and Brees Hall needs to have a big game. So I think the Jets finally, after all the talk, and Aaron Glenn's hearing it, and I think this team has to kind of reach deep, and the fact that they're at home, so someone's going to tear an ACL. So it'll probably be on someone else, the other team. So it'll probably be Bryce Young. So I think they win it. I'm going to go 2017. Ugly football.
I'm with you on this one. I think this is the get-right game, and particularly because Carolina has so many injuries. This is the one. This is the example. You're at home, and just the way that Carolina has been playing, I agree with you. Chuba Hubbard could be like a distraction for it. But let's not forget that the Jets have a pretty solid defense. They can keep guys in check. It's the offense that sucks. It's Justin Fields hanging onto the ball for so long. I could see him getting a lot of running yards in this one as well because he's been running his ass off. So I could see him going over the rushing yards. I've got the Jets to win 21-20. I think it's going to be a cheeky little win, but they get it. But again, ugly game that you're only going to really pick up on Red Zone. Let's move into the 4 o'clock slates. We'll start with one of the best games in the 4 o'clock slate. Indianapolis, 5-1, like we all predicted. Heading into the Chargers, who are 4-2. The Chargers are 1.5 point favorites. Joe Alt's still out, but it looks like Khalil Mack might be back. The running game, still a bit of a mess, but they make it happen. But the Chargers are favored in this one. 48.5 over under. Indianapolis, is this a slight on them that they're being that they're the underdogs in this game, or the Chargers in the right to be favored?
I mean, you still are waiting for the Colts to have that signature win, right? None of their wins have been against anyone really that dominant, to be fair. Like they haven't had, even the one against Denver, which you could say was their best win, they needed a penalty with extra men on the field or whatever to get another shot at it. So I
Yeah,
just think the Chargers are the better team. I'm going to go with the fact that I say they're at home, like, that matters. I think it matters a bit more. I think they're actually getting a few
sure.
more fans, through it all. But I think no, having that big comeback win last week, and it does, like you said, they do have injuries in the offensive line, but it doesn't matter. Jim Harbaugh just finds a way to get the running game going. Whoever's at running back will produce, which just makes
Yeah.
Herbert with a Colts team that does give up a lot of yards, a lot of points. So I think ends up being like a shootout, like most Colts games are. And you can only win so many of these games where you have to put up 30. You have to just kind of keep going down the field. And Daniel Jones is going to, I think, be prone to have one of those kind of terrible Daniel Jones interceptions or terrible plays
Yeah.
that goes the wrong way. So I'm going to go with the Chargers to win this 28-24. I think they're the better team. And I think after a couple of bad losses and that big comeback win, I think they need to kind of, especially with the way the Chiefs look now, that extra pressure on them to know that they cannot slip up. They got a 1 game lead on the Chiefs, so they got to kind of hold that.
I'm really, I've gone back and forth in this one, but I really start looking at who's got that rally ability, who's got that ability to really score and rush points down the field, and I haven't seen that in the Chargers yet. And the Colts you've got Warren, who's, as a Bears fan, you're going, why didn't we get him? But it's Jonathan Taylor as well, and I think the Chargers, as much as they've got some of their pieces back, it's going to be very difficult to stop him. They have a lot more ability, and Herbert has just not looked as good. I mean, he's forcing the ball, he's got it. But, maybe Ladd McConkey will have a good game because it seems like the Colts are a bit weak against some of the defense deep. But I like the Colts in this one. I think it's going to be a close one. I've got them to win by 2 points. I've got it 28-26. I just can't trust LA yet just to be able to rally and get points together. They can keep themselves in it. The defense keep themselves in it. But when it comes down to scoring and running it down the field, I don't think they can. Move in where the Giants are feeling good. They got Cam Scattaboo. They're 2-4, but they're heading into a Denver team who is 4-2. Denver 7-point favorites though in this one. 40.5 is the over/under. We're in Mile High or whatever they call it now these days. But Denver at home, the Giants are playing with a bit of energy, excitement, youthful enthusiasm, I guess you could say, when you look at Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbo. But 7 points is quite a bit for the Broncos, considering how they've been playing.
Yeah.
Is that too much? Do you think the Giants are a little closer than that?
I mean, it does feel too much. I think, again, the fact that the Broncos put 13 points last week, against, they're going to be going out there just a front four that's as good as anyone in the league coming at you. So I think it's going to make it. And Bo Nix has not really shown anything to make me think that he's a 7-point favorite on anybody. At least Jackson Dart has a bit of that like he's got a bit of momentum mojo, watching that
Mm-hmm.
kind of reckless abandonment playing, where Bo Nix looks like almost like a mediocre game manager out there, just not pushing it down the field, really struggling to kind of replicate what he did last year. I mean, I think this could be sneaky Giants upset, to be honest with you. I think the way the
Yeah.
Broncos are playing do not inspire me. So I actually, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to take Jackson Dart with a little upset. I think
Oh,
it's
wow.
not going to be a high scoring game. I'm going to go 23-20. I just think Scatterbo is going to be able to wear him down and just bowl him over. They're going to get a couple plays. And I think the Giants D can just kind of hold up. I'm probably going to be wrong and the Broncos going to lose, but I kind of believe in just this energy in this Giants team where they're starting to believe. And when you get that energy and with a young quarterback and a guy like Scatterbo can just couple plays, it's like a hockey fight. It could just turn the
Yeah.
game around. And that's what Scatterbo is, one of those hits, and it just wakes up everyone, energizes the team. So I'm going to go with the Giants 23-20 to win this.
I've got the same score, but different team. I think 7 points is a lot, but I think the Broncos are a better team, particularly at home. And if you do shut down Scatabo and make it tough for them, then it's going to rely on Dart, and he does make some mistakes. I mean, he's young, but he's going to have some good running yards as well. I could see it as well because he's quite mobile on his feet. Losing neighbors is a big thing for them. So would you light up Wandell Robinson? I don't know. So I'm going to go with the better team in this situation. I feel that Sean Payton gets better as the season goes on. He's going to have studied these guys, and I can see him really having a good game in terms of just planning this to try to limit the options that the Giants have. 23-20, I have it for the Denver Broncos. Moving into the NFC East, a divisional matchup here. Washington are 3-3 after their loss to the Bears last week, but they're 1.5-point favorites over Dallas, who were 55 points is the over-under heading into Dallas. No matter what Dak Prescott has been doing, lighting it up with tons of points and hitting Ferguson, it's still not enough for Dallas to get the wins in this one. Is this one where Dallas is at home, where they can get it? Terry McLaurin might be playing for Washington, but no matter what happens, it's like a leaky bucket. No matter how many points they put into it, it still seems to pour out to the other side. Is this a game where Dallas gets right at home?
I think so. I like Dallas this game. I think the fact that CeeDee Lamb will be back is just really, in the way that Pickens is playing, gives them just that 1-2 punch that's just going to make teams, especially teams like the Commanders, who don't have necessarily the weapons to kind of match up with that. And like you said, with Ferguson, who's been just dominant over the middle, we've seen Javonte Williams have a great. So this offense can put up like 40. And I just think it's like, can the defense make any sort of stops? The fact that what happened with the Panthers last week, but they just kind of couldn't put away, giving up 200 yards. So to me, the Commanders are just seeing, like, we're going to run this team. We're going to try and run it down, slow it down for Jane Daniels. I think it'll be close, but I think the Cowboys, to me, are just kind of, especially coming off a bad loss to the Panthers. Dak's playing the best football of his career, probably, up until maybe that year, a couple of years ago, where he almost won. He was like third for MVP. But to me, I just don't see it with the Commanders. I think last year was like a really great story and they did a lot of fun things, but I think they were always just an above average team, with Jaden Daniels just having a bit of that magic pixie dust on him. So I'm going to go with the Cowboys to win, but I think it's going to be a shootout like all their games, and I'm going to go 30-26 for Cowboys.
It's just tough. Obviously both these guys taking losses last week, and who does that loss affect the most? I think that Washington has a bit more. I mean, who knows how good CeeDee Lamb's going to be coming back. But Washington, I think, taking that loss, and again, using the running game, JCM, I'm going to call him because I forget Jacoby, whatever.
Myers or
whatever. We know who he is, and he's going to have a good game. And so I like him as well, but I think Washington just has a little bit more momentum, like, hey, we deserve to be here. Dallas just seems like that defense cannot do anything. And, when it comes down to the coaching, I think Quinn's going to be able to right this ship. I've got a big shootout, 33-30 for Washington to win this one. Green Bay has not looked as good, and they've got Aaron Rodgers coming up pretty soon. But for now, they got to focus on Arizona, who actually has one of the better defenses in the league. Green Bay are 3-1-1, and they're 6.5-point favorites. Heading into Arizona, who are 2-4. Over/under in this one is 44.5. It was unsure whether it was going to be Kyler Murray playing in this one. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but you've got the Arizona Cardinals at home with Green Bay, 6.5-point favorites. Can Green Bay blow them out, or do you think that Arizona can keep this close?
I mean, I don't think Green Bay's shown that they can really technically blow out any team, really. They've kind of like struggled offensively to kind of get any sort of real momentum going. Like even with the Bengals game last week, it was really tough sledding for a bit, where it was a little close. There never was like any fear that the Bengals are going to take the lead, but you had that kind of like nagging, like, is something bad about to happen? And then they got the lead, and then you're like, okay, and then you're like, is something bad gonna? It just kept happening. But I think I want to see just a Micah Parsons game. I want to see him finally have that game that's just like, yes, this is what we signed for. Going against someone like Jacoby Brissett, he should have, this is an opportunity. He's not mobile like Kyler Murray if Kyler Murray doesn't play. This is a chance for him, on the dome, plant his foot, just get out there and just get at him. So I want to see that. I think, again, the Cardinals, they have to go. Is Marvin Harrison going to play? He got injured last week. And then outside of, Trey McBride, their running backs are kind of a mess with Michael Carter. And I just don't see that they have the weapons to kind of keep up with the Packers, who might have Christian Watson back. And that's going to help, even though, again, he'll probably be on like a pitch count or something like that. But I just think the Packers are a much better team. So I'm going to go 27-20 Packers. I think they handle business.
I can see Arizona putting up a bit of a fight at home, and again, I don't think Green Bay seems to shoot themselves in the foot and not be able to put teams away. Romeo Doubs, I could see having a good game because Arizona can be a little weak in the secondary, but they're pretty fierce up front. And Josh Jacobs is back as well, which could have a good game as well. But I think Arizona keeps themselves in it just not winning, but keeping it within the spread. I've got a Green Bay 24, Arizona 23. Heading into our night game, and this is a big night game, a big battle in the NFC, as the 5-1 Tampa Bay Buccaneers head to the Dome in Detroit to meet the Lions, who are 4-2. Detroit is 5.5-point favorites in this one. 52.5 is the over/under. No one has really seemed to stop Baker Mayfield and his heroic comebacks. I mean, if you look, most of their wins have come back in the final 2 minutes of the games. And Detroit obviously taking a shellacking against the Chiefs last week. Still smarting from that one. Detroit at home. How do you find this one?
I like Detroit. I think, again, coming off that last one, I think they're going to be a bit pissed off. Again, they are a bit decimated. Now they lose Brian Branch to suspension, which makes it even worse. So I think the Bucks have an opportunity to come on. But the Lions are a different team at home. Jared Goff at home is able to just move that ball up and down the field. So I could see big on say Brown game. I think the running game is going to be able to do some little bit of thing. The fact that, again, if one's not working, you have the other to deal with. So to stop the Lions running game completely is one of the toughest things to do in the league. And I think, again, we've seen the Bucks, they're just playing this kind of like Russian roulette football, it feels like, where every game is just coming down to the who's going to survive for a little bit longer, who's going to be able to do the last punch. And I think on the road against the Lions team, especially coming off that primetime loss, I think they're going to want to kind of not have two primetime losses in a row like my Bills. I think they're going to want to put the kind of foot to it, and I think Dan Campbell's going to get them pissed and ready to play. But I think this is going to be a shootout, complete shootout, because I don't think the Lions can really stop anyone, but I still think the Bucks can really stop the Lions at home. So I'm going to go 30-27 for the Lions to win this.
Yeah, I'm with you on this one, and I screwed this up because this is actually the Monday at 7:00 game, which we'll get to the Sunday night game. But this is going to be a fireworks game. This is going to be amazing. Baker's heroics. It'd be great with having Mike Evans back. I think that'll help. It'd be great if they could have Bucky Irving, but I mean, there's so many injuries going on in this Tampa Bay team. But I've got Detroit to win this one. But I've got it 30-28. Again, exciting game, and it'll be back and forth. Very much looking forward to this 7:00 Monday night game. Let's talk about the Sunday night game. I missed the 8:00 game, which is Atlanta, who beat up on the Bills last week. They're 3-2, heading into a San Francisco team who's 4-2. San Fran 2-point favorites. George Kittle will be back for this game, seeing what kind of impact he'll have. San Francisco at home, 47 points, over/under. Atlanta riding high off their win over Buffalo. Is this where they come back down to reality? Do you think they can keep this momentum up and take it to the 49ers?
It's a tough one because I think George Kittle could be back, Purdy could be back. There's still questions of who's going to be playing, and I think the Falcons, again, coming off. The problem with the Falcons is when they have that big win, it's like the next game do they stink or do they? But I think, again, San Francisco, just the injuries, losing Fred Warner, using Bosa, it's just like you literally lost two of the front seven, the most dominant, two of the best players in football, to be honest with you. And I think, again, the way we've seen Bijan is running the best he's ever ran all year. You saw Drake London's kind of picking it up. So I want to pick the Falcons, but I'm going to take the Niners. I think at home, I just think if Purdy comes back and if they get a bit of their weapons, Pearsall and Kittle back, I think they can make it hard for the Falcons because I haven't seen the consistency in the Falcons where it's like where I see them like getting better and better. Like 2 weeks ago or a couple weeks ago, they lost 30-0 to the Panthers. So it's like, again, this is on the road in San Francisco. It's going to be a tough place to play. You're not at home in the Dome. So I think the Niners just kind of, again, they also have the better coach in Shanahan, who's able, doesn't matter who's his receivers, who's his quarterback, he's going to get guys open. He's going to move the ball down the field. And I think McCaffrey can do damage against this Falcons team. Like we saw, James Cook was able to move it. So I'm going to go with the Falcons, San Francisco 28-24.
Yeah, I'm with you on the 49ers in this one. I think they're saying, Kittle's like, he didn't practice on Friday, but he's like, that's what I do. I don't normally do that. I'm ready to play. It's going to open it up again. Bourne has been playing well for them as well, finding some new opportunities. And they are slowly getting some players back, which I think bodes well for San Francisco because they'll just injure them all over again. But I like this game. I think, Atlanta's riding high off this win, but, the coach is going to have something else planned for him. So I think he's going to be, I think 49ers will be ready. I've got it 27-21, 49ers winning at home. We'll head to our final game, which is 10 p.m. Eastern time or 3 a.m. in the UK it starts for anyone staying up that late who are Seattle fans. Houston is 2-3 hitting into Seattle, who's 4-2. Seattle is really starting to look good. Sam Darnold. Everyone in Minnesota must be not feeling good about this, but 3-point favorites. Seattle at home, 41 points is the over-under in this one. Houston's had some big scoring opportunities, but they're watching their division, with the Colts and Jags battle it out with them being left behind, even though they were the favorites coming into it this season. Can Houston pull off a big upset here against the Seahawks, or is this NFC team going to keep rolling on at home at a late game?
No, I am going to take the Texans to kind of pull off an upset here. I just think, again, they do. Again, this is just a battle of two great defenses, but I think the Texans have a better defense, and I think they can make Darnold make a few more mistakes than Stroud. I don't feel great about picking Stroud because, again, this team has not shown any sort of consistency, but I think they've looked a bit better the last couple of weeks. Again, they played Baltimore a few weeks ago. But I'm just going to go with, I think JSN has been incredible, but I think Derek Stingley can kind of really maybe slow him down and kind of make it a little bit harder. Because I think when Seattle's at their best is when Jackson Smith-Njigba is unguardable like he was last week.
Yeah.
And they're just able to move the ball up and down the field. And I think Houston, as good a defense, can take that thing away and kind of make Darnold beat you other ways, which can lead to mistakes. I'm going to go with this Houston, a little plucky victory, 24-21. I just think Seattle's running games too is a bit of a mess where it's like, who's running it this week? There's never any consistency of who's that. And I think Houston, at least with Marks and Chubb, they do have that little 1-2 punch that's getting better with each game. So I think Houston kind of does a little upset on the road.
Obviously, I think the Seahawks are going to be watching a lot of the teams in their division, who's going to play, and depending what the 49ers do. But I think there's real motivation for them. A Sam Darnold motivation. To me, the Houston team just still doesn't look like they have all the pieces together. Stroud can get rattled quite easily, and this defense can be a bit, stingy in terms of it. So I'm actually liking Seattle at home in this one. I think they're going to get it comfortable, and then once they have CJ Stroud in a bit of a corner, he could be making some mistakes as well. So I've got Seattle to win this one, 28-20, and going up to 5-2. Folks, that's it for our Week 7 predictions. Ryan and I just want to wish everyone good luck at the game in London at Wembley. Have fun, stay warm, stay dry. And Ryan and I will be back next week with our Week 7 in Review podcast. We'll see how we did. Enjoy Week 7.